Welcome to the InfoWars Nightly News. It is Tuesday, July 15th, 2014, and I'm Leanne McAdoo. Here's what's coming up tonight.
Tonight, DHS swarms a small town to catch one man. Then, police resort to crank calls to justify home invasions. And are the feds editing wiki pages to smear patriots? That's next on the InfoWars Nightly News.
I'm sick of their crap. You gotta find your humanity, and you gotta start kicking some New World Order ass in the InfoWars.
Well, as long as there has been news, there has been spin. And with every new administration and all of the new scandals comes the need to rein all of that in and cover it up. We know how the state-run media gets its talking points directly from the White House. But nowadays, more and more people are getting their information online. And the Obama administration has already admitted that they're losing the info war. They're losing out to independent media and people being able to access information on the internet. So now, of course, they're having to come up with new tactics in order to stem this tide and to keep up with all of these emerging technologies. And that, of course, is why there is this all-out assault on the internet. Now, take Wikipedia, for instance. Now, it's long been said you don't want to quote Wikipedia as a source because really anyone can get in there and edit the information. Well, now we can confirm that government IP addresses are actually changing entries to smear independent media personalities. Now, I'm talking about edits to the Wikipedia profiles of Alex Jones and RT's Abby Martin. They were edited just this week. Now, yesterday, Alex Jones's Wikipedia profile was attempted to be edited by adding the sentence, "Following his appearances on Russia Today, there were allegations that he was a disinformation agent with ties to the Kremlin." Right. There's never been any allegations of that. Now, that IP address was traced to Information Systems, U.S. House of Representatives. Now, there was also a separate edit describing RT host Abby Martin as a Russian propagandist. Now, this is despite the fact that Martin made headlines back in March for publicly criticizing Russia's involvement in Crimea on her own show. Now, that IP address leads back to that same computer there at the U.S. House of Representatives. Now, we've been reporting on the government's plan to kill the internet with disinformation, but now it has been confirmed, and according to some newly released documents from Edward Snowden, basically he's saying that the British government also engages in fake victim blog posts as well as online false flag operations. They use tools that can sway online polls and manipulate the public sentiment on the internet. We've already reported before how they go in chat rooms. They've disabled comment sections. Now these tools are also giving British spies the ability to actively monitor Skype calls. And this is just many of the other creative ways of the government using internet deception. Now, of course, these latest revelations come amidst the time UK Parliament is debating whether to fast-track a bill that would allow even more spying, even more sweeping surveillance powers. And of course, just like they're trying to do here in America with CISPA, SOPA, and PIPA, they want to fast-track this as fast as they can because, you know, all this spying and surveillance will just keep us safe. And here we are pointing out that it's the government disinfo agents that we need to be protected from. Now, the Pentagon and that spy agencies have been busted manipulating the internet. They've been busted, you know, manipulating social media. They're promoting false propaganda and stifling any dissenting information. Now, we've documented for years that big social media sites like Reddit are censored and manipulated. But now Watson is reporting on a Redditor who calls himself Freedom Intensifies, who posted a fascinating analysis on military manipulation of Reddit by a specific base. And this is Elgin Air Force Base. Now, he says that he links to a paper funded by Eglin Air Force Base studying how to establish majority views, social control, influence conversations, contain unwanted information. Now, of course, Eglin Air Force Base is a major hub for Pentagon domestic manipulation programs online, and Freedom Intensifies points out that a lot of this got established right when the war on terror started, of course. Now, the government has always used the media as its propaganda arm, but of course it's intensified following the war on terror. But with the repeal of the Smith-Mundt Modernization Act last year, it's only intensified and it's actually legalized domestic propaganda. Here's what I had to say about this domestic propaganda campaign last year. That's why the Obama administration is protecting its lapdog journalists while instilling fear in those that might dare ask questions. Obama's hired even more journalists to be a part of his team. Up to 19 journalists from influential outlets like ABC, CNN, The Washington Times, and LA Times are going to work for the very administration they should be holding accountable. So don't expect any of those journalists to report on their bosses' debacles like Obamacare or the illegal NSA spying and wiretapping or Benghazi. Maybe Obama needed more journalists on his Transforming America team for the big rollout of government-funded news after the recent repeal of the domestic propaganda ban. Those journalists can now use their talent to influence public opinion, shaping a favorable narrative for war or for giving up your rights in favor of safety. Now, clearly one of those lapdog journalists is the new White House press secretary with the very ironic name, Josh Earnest. Here's what he had to say on Monday to reporters when they asked him, how does the White House react to the notion that the president is a bystander to all these crises? And he replied in a typical Orwellian fashion, the Obama administration's foreign policies in a number of areas have substantially improved the tranquility of the global community. Now, ABC News' John Karl, who I'm actually growing quite fond of, let him have it. And he pointed out what's looking like an all-out war between Israel and Hamas in Gaza. There's jihadists taking over vast territory in Iraq and Syria, the Russian aggression in Ukraine, and of course concerns about the Chinese handling of territorial disputes in the South China Sea. And to Ernest's response, Karl said, it doesn't really seem like a time to be touting tranquility on the international scene. But of course, this administration isn't concerned with the truth or with upholding the Constitution, and Ernest's response just further proves their expertise in gaslighting and just trying to convince the American public that Obama, of course, is the Lord and Savior, and no, there's not wars breaking out everywhere. Obama has brought tranquility to the global community because war is peace, right?
The globalists have controlled the mainstream media for a long time, but now they're expanding, making the weaponization even more vicious and deceptive. All the major networks are state-run.
We are partnering this year with the NFL.
The NFL has become a political weapon against the Second Amendment and pushes Obamacare. MSNBC tells us that our children belong to the state.
We have to break through our kind of private idea that kids belong to their parents or kids belong to their families and recognize that kids belong to whole communities.
The brainwashing media machine has been turned up on high, and it's time for humanity to double down on the true people's media and strike back against the tyrants that are destroying our civilization with their lies and fraud. We are the resistance. You are the resistance. You are the info war. It is more important than ever to realize that we are not the alternative media. We are the true media. The establishment dinosaur press is dying.
We are in an information war, and we are losing that war.
Join us at InfoWarsNews.com and PrisonPlanet.tv. Members can share their memberships with up to 11 people. By subscribing, you will literally be buying war bonds in the info war to expand our operation in the face of the tyrants. Join us at PrisonPlanet.tv.